Hey, this is Matt Racine here, author of Bar Exam Mind, a strategy guide for an anxiety-free bar exam, and blogger at barexammind.com. This is the inaugural Bar Exam Mind podcast. I hope this podcast will be helpful for you on your way to bar exam success. My goal here is to provide you with brief podcasts in the neighborhood of 5 to 10 minutes long so you can listen to them during your free moments between bar exam practice testing and memorization, and apply whatever lessons you think are valuable for your bar exam studies. In this first podcast, I want to talk about what I call the bar exam level set. Now, a level set means to assess your resources and your goals and to see what you need to do or need to obtain in order to achieve those goals. Since your goal is to pass the bar exam, you should examine several areas to determine how you will study for and pass the bar exam. My recommendation is you examine the following things. First, determine where and when you will study. Then eliminate or reduce stressors and potential stressors. And finally, deal with any anxieties or fears you're having about the bar exam. So the first item of business is to determine where and when you will study. For this, you need to think about yourself and how you study. So do you need total silence when you study? Can you handle noise but not too much noise? Or are you easily distracted? Or maybe you're one of those people who can study even if a rock concert's happening next door. Once you have answers to those questions, you should think about where you're gonna study. A lot of people study at a law library. I think this is a good choice, although you could get distracted by colleagues who want to talk to you about various things, want to ask you questions about what you're studying, that sort of stuff. But usually these distractions are fairly minimal. Another place to study is a public library. I studied at a public library when I was taking the California bar exam, and I thought it was a great place to study. The only real drawback there is that some public libraries have limited hours, and they can be a bit loud at times. You might think about studying at home. This is probably a good choice if you're going to have the house to yourself for extended periods of time, but it might not be a good choice if you have loud roommates or if you have kids or if you will let yourself get distracted by cleaning the house or working in the garden, that sort of thing. Another place to study is a coffee shop. I know a lot of people who study for the bar exam and who pass the bar exam study at coffee shops. I could have never done this. I would have been distracted constantly. I would have been uncomfortable in the furniture. It would have been a disaster. But, it's an option. And finally, what about studying outdoors? Maybe you don't want to study every day outdoors, but it could be nice to sit on a bench at a park or go down to the beach and do some flashcards. Maybe talk through some outlines you've been memorizing to see how well you understand them. Again, though, being outdoors might be a bit distracting for many people. And once you've figured out where you're going to study, what about when you're going to study? In my opinion, the ideal study schedule is around 8 a.m. in the morning through about 5 p.m. at night. I like this because you have a set schedule that you have to fit your studies into. It forces you to be focused during what essentially is a work day, and also means that you're studying during the same time you're going to be required to actually take the bar exam. This is important because you want to have your mind and brain working at its highest potential during the time when you're going to be asked by the boards of bar examiners to work at your highest potential. Another option is to study from, say, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. or 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., something like that. This will allow you to take additional breaks during the day, maybe to go exercise for an hour, maybe to spend time with your family, have a little time in the afternoon before dinner with your kids, and then go back to studying for a couple hours before you go to sleep. The only drawback here, I think, is that if you're really keyed up from studying, it might be hard to go to sleep at night, and if you do have a hard time going to sleep, this might spiral into a real inability to fall asleep at night, which could affect your ability to study the next day. You don't want something like that building up. Finally, for people who have jobs, maybe you're going to have to study 6 p.m. till midnight every night, and this is obviously not ideal, but if that's what you have to do, then you have to do it. You'll also probably have to end up studying a lot on the weekends instead of being able to take time off from studying. I had a colleague who was working at a law firm with me who was actually full-time attorney, worked 45, 50 hours a week, and then she studied for the New York bar exam at night and on the weekends. And she hated it. I remember her talking about how horrible she felt her life was, but she passed the New York bar. As for eliminating or reducing stressors or potential stressors, here, you just want to look at your life and say, what are things that might get in my way, might piss me off while I'm studying for the bar exam, or might make me feel guilty that I'm studying for the bar exam. Here you want to look at family. I mean, do you have kids who need attention? I had little kids when I took the Oregon bar exam, and they were still little when I took the California bar exam. So I had to fit my studying into kind of a 8 to 5, 9 to 5 window. And after 5 o'clock, I was done. I had to be there for my kids and my wife, who many days was very, very tired when I got home. Think about your significant other. Maybe this person's kind of needy. Maybe you're going to need to be sure that you have a kind of preemptive talk with this person and then spend Saturdays with them. Make sure you commit, hey, we'll do something on Saturday every day, no matter what, if you just leave me alone during the week, that kind of thing. Also, make sure your finances are in order. You don't want to be stressing about money, or at least you want to reduce the amount of stress about money you'll have while you're studying for the bar. If you need to cut expenses, turn off your cable for a few months. Can you reduce your cell phone plan for a bit? Put your bills on auto pay if you haven't already done it. Also, think about what you're going to eat. It's easy to default to pizza and pasta and microwave dinners, but this is really not long-term healthy. Maybe once or twice a week in a pinch you can eat this way, but you really want to eat fresh cooked food as much as possible. Maybe you want to spend Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon preparing a week's worth of dinners and lunches. I have a friend who does this. He cooks a bunch of chicken and vegetables and rice every Sunday. He packages it into Tupperware containers and freezes it, and then that's what he eats for his dinners all week long. Super boring, but basically healthy. Finally, fear and anxiety about the bar exam. This is what my Bar Exam Mind book and blog is mainly about. So if you want more information about that, why don't you check out those resources. But generally, if you're spending time worrying about, oh, what's going to happen if I, write a bad essay? What'll happen if I fail? What'll happen? What'll people think about me? If you're constantly thinking about that, uh, it's going to be, well, I don't say it will be, but it could very well become difficult to study for the bar exam if you're constantly stressed out and worried about the consequences of failure. You need to look at this as a goal that you're going to accomplish. If necessary, engage in some visualization. There's two kinds of visualization, negative and positive. I talk about this on my blog. You can go there and just use the search box to find those posts. I think for most people, just some visualization, maybe some affirmations, a little perspective can really help dampen any sort of fear and anxiety. But there are some people who the anxiety just becomes debilitating. And if you think you're one of those people, consider getting some professional help. There is a bar repeater out there. She took the California bar 3 times, passed on the third try, and she put some videos up that are really helpful, and I'll have a link to those in my show notes. But one of her videos talks about how, she decided to get some anti-anxiety medicine, really, really light prescription, but just enough to help her, and she said it made a world of difference when she took the bar exam. So, if you think you're in that kind of situation, you may want to explore that as a possibility. All right, well, thanks for listening to the first Bar Exam Mind podcast. I hope you found something useful in it, and I hope you will subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or using the RSS feed on the show notes page, and listen to future episodes. Good luck on the bar exam.